Hello and welcome to episode 276 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
It's Gary O'Neill out at twitter.com. I'm joking. No, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter, the Wall 77 Club everywhere else. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're slowly growing, lads. It creeps up.
Hey.
So please do that. It's good.
It's your age. Dan Baylis is here.
Hello.
Right, well, Harry, let's start with Brentford away. Pretty much called the team, I think. Let's go through it. Johnston, Semedo, Dawson comes in, Totti Gomez, Aït-Nouri, Andre, Carlos Forbes makes his first start, Lemina, João Gomez, Matis Cunha and Strand Larsen as well. We were talking about how Brentford were scoring in the first minute for the last three games, so we managed to keep them out until the second minute.
It's like a comedy sketch. I was sat watching it with my dad, and I said, when it got to a minute on the clock, I jokingly said to him, well, we've done it. They haven't scored within a minute. And then Collins just runs up the pitch and heads the ball into the net. And yeah, I mean, with the starting lineup, to be fair, it's what everyone probably expected. We all wanted Forbes to be in, didn't we? And he started off quite well in the game, actually. He was involved in the first goal. But the story of the day is about our defence, isn't it? We defended like a Sunday league's probably insulting to Sunday league teams, the way we defended at times. And that first goal from Collins, where he just ran up the pitch, wandered into the box, nobody marked him at all, and then just heads it in with ease, was just, here we go again. Even though we got ourselves back into it, I never felt like we had any chance of winning that game because Dawson was a shadow of himself. Totti Gomez, my life. He looked like he'd never played professional football before. Semedo was all at sea. Aït-Nouri was good going forward, but defensively non-existent. And our so-called solid midfielders in Andre, Gomez, who were meant to sit, they couldn't have protected a paper bag on the day. They were awful. And we just kept giving the ball away. So combine that all into one, and you concede 5 goals away at Brentford. And the only person you can really blame is obviously the players, but Gary O'Neill as well, because if you're a manager, you would say to him, wouldn't you, look, Brentford keep scoring in the first minute, keep it tight. That's the first thing you'd say to him, innit? Like, you'd drill it into them. And it was almost as if he said to him, go out there and let them score first minute. Let's keep this up for them. It'd be pretty good to do it. It'd be good narrative for the Premier League. Do it, lads.
Dan, can you describe our defending in 3 words?
Absolute fucking shite.
Okay, you're pretty good. Rolled off the tongue. And to be fair, I don't use abysmal and atrocious and all those sort of words lightly, but I think you're absolutely right. I mean, where do we go from here?
The only way is up, baby. Go down the dream route of things can only get better. I mean, there's lots of superlatives for it. I think that is rock bottom, isn't it? I mean, it's a set piece, and the one bloke's just stood in the middle of the box, just goes, "Oh, yeah, all right, cool. Cheers."
Yeah, that 4, yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. Even playing amateur sport, I don't think I've seen many that bad.
It is poor, isn't it, Harry? I mean, you look at Nathan Collins. We know him as a player. We didn't really do much for us apart from karate kick Jack Grealish against City that one time. We know he's a big lad. We know he likes getting in the box. And like I said, free header. But what's he doing? What's Lemina doing to give away the penalty?
Yeah, that was poor. And also Lemina on the 3rd goal. It was the weirdest pass come clearance I'd ever seen. We just equalised. We got our tails up, and he does that. He's been, I don't know what it is with Lemina. He's probably another thing to talk about altogether, just Lemina as a subject as itself, because it feels like the captaincy's really taking its toll on him. He's coming out of all these post-match interviews, and his performances, which he's admitted himself, have been horrendous. He's had some really bad performances lately. And yeah, he was at fault for 2 of the goals. You mentioned the penalty. It was a penalty. He just I've been watching the Vince McMahon documentary, and he probably could become one of his top wrestlers with moves like that, the way he did on Collins, that penalty. And yeah, he gave away the other. And the 4th goal, the goal just before half-time, when it's 3-2, and, at 3-2, you think, we've still got a glimmer of a chance. But the defending for that one was all this zonal marking crap. I know we're going to talk about the set-piece coach who's lost his job today, but I've never seen a bloke score a goal and have so much space in a game of professional football. Nobody was anywhere near him, and it was the most simple header you'll ever see, just back across goal. He was the only bloke stood in the box, for about a 10-yard radius round him, and that was it then. That killed the game. And I mean, we defended really bad against Chelsea second half. We've had bad games under Lopetegui, like Brighton away, the 6-0. But some of the defending was all. I just sat there laughing. I just sat there laughing at the defending. That's the only thing I could do because it was that bad. And I could. Gary O'Neill was just sat on the side with his assistant manager on his iPad with his little pen. I don't know what that's going to do. You've got to get up and start shouting at them. They can't see his iPad on the pitch. I mean, Dawson ain't got a microchip in his head, has he? He can't read the iPad. He's got to get up and tell them, defend, lads, do something. What you paid for. And yeah, they let the strikers down because Cunha and Strand Larson took their goals really well.
They did, yeah.
I thought Ait Nori, good assists. So yeah, just horrendous defending all round and horrendous management.
It was nice scoring 3 in a game, but shipping 5's a bit of a ball ache. Let's have a look at what Mario Lemina said after the game. He says, the way we're playing, the way we're defending right now is going to get us in relegation. And we have to be honest about that right now. Gary is not the problem. He's doing really well. If you say Gary O'Neill is the problem, then you are liars and cheaters because he's given us a lot of things we didn't have before. He's given a chance to a lot of players and now we have to give it back to him because at the moment we are not giving it back. We have just 1 point. It is really bad. And I am really sure that we're going to come back from this. It is going to be tough after the international break mentally, but we have to believe in ourselves. Do you think that sort of stuff, Dan, should be kept quiet? Do you think he should be making those sort of comments?
I think until they go, the players have got to come and back the manager up as best they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard for him to say those sort of things and have to come and do it. It's a bit of a statement of intent more than anything. And what can we do in this situation? Because we'll get on to the sort of whole Fosun and where the problem lies there. But Fosun aren't going to sack him. Financially, they just won't do it. They'd rather see us go down than sack him. So we've got to look at how the tactics, subs, whatever it happens to be, how Wolves are going to get some points on the board. Because honestly, every minute I've watched this year, we haven't deserved to really win a game. So the players have got to come and stick by him because that's what the reality is going to be until, I don't know, Christmas or something, or until he walks. That's all we've got.
We're going to get onto the comment section in a second. But Harry, I think obviously Gary O'Neill, I think in the post-match interview used the word devastated. And I know he's coming for a lot of stick today. I know he got a lot of it off Simon Jordan on TalkSport about the words that he used after the game being quite defeatist and doesn't really sound like he's backing himself at the moment, which is something that we're not really used to with him.
Yeah, he completely changed his tune, but he had no choice because during the game, obviously the live stream I was watching, when he made the Hwang Hee-chan sub and took Andre off, it was the fact he brought Hwang on, even though Andre was poor. The away end turned. They were singing, You don't know what you're doing, you're going to get sacked in the morning, and so on and so on. And he knew at that point he had to come out and say that after the game because he walked over to the away end like apologising. They didn't want to know. A lot of the anger, obviously, which we'll get onto, is aimed at Jeff Shee and Fosun and maybe Hobbs now. But yeah, his substitutions are another thing that have frustrated me for weeks. I've been saying it every week. It's just he's so stubborn. And ironically, a lot of Bournemouth fans warned us about this. They saw it when he was Bournemouth manager, where he sticks in his ways and makes terrible substitutions. And this season, that has been the story of our season. Even though we have had hard fixtures, I've not liked the setup from the start. Not just the back four, the weird square pegging round holes formation of players being out of position at times. That's really frustrated me. And now all of a sudden, because he knows he's literally on his last legs, he's gone, right, I might have to tactically have a look at it and change it. But why couldn't he do that during this bad run? Like Villa second half, obviously Chelsea second half. Couldn't he identify that we were just all at sea at the back? That's what's really annoyed me, to be honest. And I have liked Gary O'Neill. I love what he did last year. I wanted to keep giving him the benefit of the doubt this year. I've backed him, although I did say this was a massive game for his career last week. And I stick by that. And I think we had to win. So to go and perform like that was just unforgivable for me. And you go on about his post-match comments. I think he knew he had to say that because of the away end reaction. And it was very hostile. I could hear that on the telly and from the people who were there. And from the interviews I've seen the Express and Star did with a lot of the fans out of that away end, they were absolutely fuming.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. And it's always raw in the moment after the game, but the sentiment was a 50-50 split between it's the manager that's the problem and it's the board.
But it's turned now, isn't it? But I've got to say, the Lemina comments you read out, Sam, there's been a bit of controversy with that, and I've got to bring it up because I think he did the interview with the BBC and a few others, but he said if we, as in we players, say Gary O'Neill should be sacked, he don't mean like if the fans are saying it, because there's a lot of mainstream media that have misquoted him, so I just thought I'd bring that up. He weren't having a go at the fans, Lemina, with those comments.
Let's go through some of these comments and take a deep breath, dive into the comment section. Neil and Ian says, get them all out. That includes Matt Hobbs as well. Stephen says, Fosun are the real issue. Medium term and pressure must be brought to bear on them to sell the club. In the meantime, the inept O'Neill must be replaced immediately. Robert says, yes, Gary O'Neill should be sacked and Fosun out. We're going nowhere. Wolfsfee says, hello. It's good to see you, Wolfsfee. Who else we got in here? Some more comments. Andrew says Gary must go. Paul says 6 points out of 66. That was the stat you pulled out, I think, wasn't it, Harry? 6 points out of a possible 66. And we're questioning whether he should be sacked. Paul says your tash is coming on, Baylis. It's nice. Just keep it even. Neil says bring in Big Sam and Phil Brown. I don't know how that's going to help anything. Chris says, evening all. Baylis, I owe you an apology. I was the bald geezer you met in the Artful Duke last week. I was too stoned to make the connection that you were Baylis from the 77 Club. Top show, lads, as always. I think you'd have to be to go on it.
I was pretty pissed, to be fair.
I think after 15 years, I've just come to terms with the fact that Wolves are just a nearly club. Mark says, unfortunately, I think Mosquera getting injured is going to really hurt us as Bueno or Totti are not good enough. If Craig Dawson, with all due respect, is your best defender at his age, we are going to struggle. I mean, Harry, I think there's a lot of good points in there. And I think we were all saying through the transfer window and have pretty much been saying it since we started the podcast, Wolves need a quality Premier League centre-back. And we've very rarely had one.
Yeah, that is another big issue because we've been crying for a back five, but with Yersin's injury, it's a pretty hard thing to do, isn't it? Especially with him not being backed. We brought in Andre, which we had enough cover in midfield, although he's an absolutely fantastic player. And apart from the game against Brentford, he's been a brilliant addition to the team. But having him, Lemina and Gomez in there has just not worked. And we needed another centre-half. So in hindsight, should have wanted to getting him. Probably, yeah. Because, I mean, I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but it's one of them. They like to get players in on the cheap to triple the price tag, don't they, in a few years? So that's probably their thinking. And they thought this back four would work. They did. And Gary O'Neill's been stubborn, sticking with the back four. And now it's coming to shoot us in the foot. And yeah, but a lot of the anger, which I know we're going to get onto, is aimed at the board more than Gary O'Neill. But it's at the point now where you just look at the evidence we've got on the pitch and he's being found out a bit, isn't he? Which is a shame because I wanted him to do well.
Well, Wolves have sacked someone today, and it's the set piece coach, Jack Wilson. Were you aware that we had a set piece coach, Baylis? So I don't remember seeing.
He didn't do a lot, did he?
No.
Jesus. I mean, what was he doing as a job? Right, lads. All of you get in the box, but if they're wearing a different colour shirt, leave them alone.
That's what it seems like. So he joined from Manchester City in the summer, becoming the club's first dedicated set-piece specialist. But it's been accepted that the move hasn't worked out. It's sat here on the 7th of October. We're going, actually, this guy was brilliant when it was like De Bruyne pinging balls into the box for Haaland. He was all right when it was...
You just see this clipboard going, kick it, Kev. Go on.
It's a bit like... on Mike Bassett when he buys the goalkeeper and he thinks he's bought the striker. He's just banging him in all the time. This is what we've got off this set piece specialist from Man City. We're thinking, hello, I think he must be the key that's unlocking the defences, not
no, it's like a Mike Bassett when he hires that assistant manager and really he's a car dealership salesman. Yeah. That's what it's like. So we've got a set piece coach, and apparently, like the reports that are coming out is that they stopped letting him sit on the bench with Gary O'Neill and that during games because he just didn't integrate within the coaching staff very well. I mean, he didn't integrate his ideas very well, did he? Because it looked like they've got no idea. Like, our set piece record this year has been horrendous. So like I said, that fourth goal against Brentford, I don't know what he's got on doing this. So if it's meant to be zonal marking, it's mark nobody. I think that's the tactics. And the funny thing is, I mean, we do a podcast. I mean, we cover Wolves and whatever. I genuinely did not know this bloke existed, so I actually just laughed when I saw that today. So I thought that was quite a bit of a comic relief to up the spirits a little bit, because I did find it really funny. We even had
Mark Rhodes comment at 8:20.
What's he for?
It says, Christ, I thought I was stealing a living.
Both of you are in a pantomime, to be fair.
Right. So, right. So, but I suppose the big question, though, Baylis, is where do we go from here? I think you've got some manager odds in there, but Gary O'Neill isn't even the favourite to be sacked at the moment in the Premier League.
Ten Hag's gone the other side of even money to go next. Then 11-4, Martin and O'Neill. But we've got to tough it out. I know, like the comments tonight, because we're doing badly, the comments are going nuts. That's why we haven't been able to read too many out. But everyone's going, get him out, get him out. It's just not going to happen. Why? We were doing some like rough numbers, and we don't know.
Give me your maths. Yeah.
Like, we don't know what he's on a week, but I took like a rough guide, 40 grand a week, something like that, as like a middle ground. That's still 8 million quid at 4 years. So Fosun, the people that won't spend 2 million quid on a centre back, are not going to manage her and hand over 8 million quid, plus pay off his backroom staff. So, yeah, we're all talking. We know that the situation's dire, but I can't see him getting sacked. It's not even now that they're shrewd business people. They're just only interested in money and numbers. It's nothing to do with football now for them. And we've seen it over the last few years with the transfers that have happened and stuff, but it's just more and more evident.
I think there's so many factors. I mean, a lot of the people are blaming Fosun, which I get. And I think as well, because you've got to remember, Gary O'Neill was Matt Hobbs' pick, solely Matt Hobbs' pick. So there's probably an element of him thinking, I don't really want to get rid of him because this will make me look a bit stupid now. Although he had a really good start to his campaign, and obviously it fell off a cliff after Coventry last year and our injuries, he probably wants to save a bit of face and give him more of a chance to turn it around, because they've given this new 4-year deal, I've just mentioned. He was touted for the England job, and it's one of them. Jeff, since Nuno went, when you look back at the whole regime, how many times have we spoken about this? The whole Fosun era, when they first come in, they got Walter Zenga, horrendous. Then they get Nuno, and he's paired up with, obviously, George Mendes, the super agent. And we just, everything turned to gold, didn't it? And I think, I've said this before, last year on the podcast, I think Jeff Shee purely just got too big for his bollocks. He just thought, this is easy. I've got this bloke in. Yeah. I've got this super agent. We've flew up the leagues. We've got 2 7th. We've got the European competition. Now we're going to be self-sustainable. We're going to keep selling our superstars, get in these little gems and sell them on. And if you keep doing that, look at the trajectory we've been on, down, 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 down. And eventually it's going to catch up with us. And now we've got this manager in on a cheap, Gary O'Neill from Bournemouth, who, look, he never would have got another Premier League job if we didn't give him one. And we were all underwhelmed when he come in, but he did well. Fair play to him. But was that just because of the players and the tactics Lopetegui was doing? I don't know. But you've got to remember, this time last season, though, second game of the season, we got absolutely dicked 4-1 to Brighton at home, playing 4 at the back. He switched it straight away. Then we shithoused to 1-0 at Everton, got that famous Man City win. This year, he just didn't do anything. He's dead stuck in his ways, trying to play this fancy. I said on my post-match video, we're trying to play like Brazil. We're playing like Accrington Stanley. We're trying to pass it round the back. We've got Dawson, who's coming towards the end of his career. Toti Gomez, who struggles to stand up at times. Never mind play football. Nori and Semedo are wing-backs. They're brilliant in a back 5, bombing up and down. But in a back 4, a flat back 4, it's not their game. It's not. And he just don't want to admit he's wrong, and he don't want to switch it to a 5. So is it Gary O'Neill or is it Fosun? And I'm telling you, the majority of the fans are pointing the finger at Fosun. And even Hobbs now, but mainly Jeff Shee and Fosun.
Yeah. So Chris says in the comments, if you notice the shift towards Matt Hobbs, I've certainly, after the Brentford game, since the Brentford game, obviously final whistle, his name's been mentioned much, much more than Jeff Shee.
Yeah, but all Hobbs is like, he's like a kid that's been given a fiver and told he can go and buy some Pokemon cards. Like, he has, because Jeff's got the checkbook and he goes, that's how much you got, and that's it. So I don't know why it's going at Hobbs too much. Like, stupid that we didn't get in a centre back. That's ridiculous. but there has to be some greater story around that.
Neil and Paul in the comments making the same point. There's a couple of other people doing the same. Mendes should come back, Harry.
Oh my God,
we were trying
gone.
to get rid of him for years, weren't we? But I mean, were we looking to give Fosun the man?
He was brilliant at first when he brought Jota and that in the Championship and Neves. It was like, wow, what have we done to deserve this? It was dreamland, but inevitably all good things come to an end. And he did shaft us a lot. He shafted us over on a lot of deals. We had some good ones still, but there was a few there we got our pants pulled down. I mean, I know Fabio Guedes. I know he's coming back. There'll be a lot more examples people can think of. Jesus Vallejo, was he one? What's his name? From AC Milan. AC Milan, the striker, the Italian. Catrona. There was a few. So what they tried to do was go away from him, and all fans were calling for that. So for me, no. But I want to get Mark's comment. I know Mark's getting a lot of coverage today, and he's put, look how well Nuno's doing at Forest and Traore Jimenez at Fulham. That breaks my heart. Them two, they are playing so well for Fulham, and we've got rid of them. Neto, Kilman, Moutinho. Look, Kilman, I mean, he's hot and cold, but it is annoying how we just constantly get rid of our best players and don't seem to replace them like for like. And as I've said, there's only one way to go. But yeah, the Traore Jimenez thing is starting to break my heart a little bit because they're starting to play really well.
Harry, this could be a lot easier. Just email Mark the link to join the podcast.
Yeah. Come on, Mark.
Do you want to come on, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, there are. I think a lot. Clubs have a lot of duck egg signings. I mean, you look at some of the Man United signings over the last couple of years, or even under Ten Hag, and you go, actually, we're nowhere near that level of sort of incompetence when it comes to like the signing. What? Baylis, leave him alone.
It wasn't me.
That was me. That was Larry. For any people listening, I'll just put the StreamYard link in the chat. So
anyway,
anyone can jump in.
Be at least 12 people in here.
That's true. Yeah, join if you want. Yeah, I don't think Mendes did that badly though, did he, Harry? I think maybe he had a couple of signings where it's like, oh, actually, that's a bit too much money. I think the amount of money that we paid for Fabio Silva was eye-watering given his age and given what we're not going to get back. But I think there's some gems in there.
I mean, we sold Jota and got our pants pulled down, and that was to benefit Mendes. The Traore loan to Barcelona.
40-odd million quid for that.
Nah, it was in installments, so it was like a really weird deal. We should have got more for Jota at the time. There's no doubt.
I don't know. I think if you go back and listen to the podcast episode we did after
that,
true.
But the Adama Traore loan deal to Barcelona under Bruno Lage when we were pushing for Europe, that was Mendes. Like that, things like that. Like don't get me wrong, he started off, he was unbelievable. Like we go up and win the league as good as we do, and then bounce up to get seventh because of the signings he brought in. There's no doubt about that, and he was really tight with Nuno, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But also, wasn't he the one who brought Bruno Lage in?
Well, that's the thing.
He was Bruno Lage's bloke. We've still got shares in Mendes' company, Fosun. They're still like linked to him, but they did purposely have the strategy to go away from him, and that's why we've got Gary O'Neill as manager as well. We wouldn't have Gary O'Neill as manager if Mendes was still as involved as he was. But I think it's all of them. It's a combination of everything now, isn't it? It's Fosun, it's you can say Hobbs, and unfortunately, it's Gary O'Neill. He's starting to look very inept, isn't he, tactically, and very stubborn.
I still think it's along the lines of if you don't back a manager to have a full strength squad, and 50-50, I think the tactics have been woeful this season. But at the same time, something has to have happened to have not brought in a centre back. You don't sell your starting centre back without a plan. Yeah, without a plan. So something's cocked up there along the way, and just like. It's all a bit fishy. It's fallen on Fosun's door for me, just as equally as much as how bad the tactics have been in these 7 games.
So what do you reckon, Harry? Because I mean, we always talk about international breaks and whether it's a good time to have an international break. 9 times out of 10 for us, it probably isn't. But is this, I'd say, a chance for us to regroup? I mean, it's probably more likely to give Gary O'Neill a break because I know there's going to be a lot of players away on international duty. Strand Larsen's going with Norway. Semedo's been picked for Portugal. Andre at Brazil. Bueno's with Uruguay. Hwang, South Korea. Aït-Nour's with Algeria. And Lemina's away with Gabon. And Forbes and Rodrigo Gomez are with Portugal's under-21. So it's not even like they're going to get an extended period of time together to try and learn how to defend again.
Yeah, exactly. But at least he has got time to think what he wants to do. Because if we walk out against Man City and he's in charge and we play 4 at the back, I'll just bloody turn the telly off because I ain't going. But yeah, if it was up to me, and I was the one in charge, I was Uncle Jeff, I would get David Moyes in just purely because he's an experienced manager and he'll settle us down and get us organised. And with the squad we've got, we should not go down. We've got very talented players, especially going forward. And our midfield, I mean, we're spoilt for choice. I mean, Tommy Doyle's waiting on the wings. I think he should be starting. He's such a good player. But as I said, we're packed in that position. It's just our defence. It's just so weak. And four at the back, we just can't do it. But I think after that game, my immediate thought was he's got to go. And I still feel like that 48 hours later. Yeah. But as we've said, and I think we all said it on WhatsApp, and even Jack, to be fair, Jack said even if we lost to Brentford, he don't think he should go. But even he thinks O'Neill should go. And you won't find many fans who want O'Neill to stay. But just going back on the Fosun topic, the Simon Jordan TalkSport clip that we referred to earlier, he come out. People from outside looking in to say this a lot. He was on about the history of Wolves and saying we've had it best ever in recent years since like the 50s. And he's like, how can you moan? But it's so annoying when you hear that argument, isn't it? And look, Fosun have been brilliant for us in the first few years. But then it comes to a point where it just goes. So do you just say, because they had those first few good years, we just accept down trajectory and accept the fact we're going to be in the Championship? I think
credit
we're allowed
in the
to
bank.
criticize them. It's running out, isn't it? Yeah.
Didn't we do this? Didn't we do this last year at some point? I can't remember the other teams, but we went through all the teams that were also owned by like ET there, that were like owned by the Chinese, and Reading were like right in the shit. The Albion and Birmingham, like they all seem to have been left to fester, and that's the thing that we've got to really avoid is that. Yeah, we're in a precarious position now, and that's why we're all moaning. We know we've had it good. We're all moaning now because we're in this really dodgy position where we could go down. If we go down, they shut the shop, they refuse to sell, and we stagnate, and it's all horrible.
And the elephant in the room is as well ticket prices. We are paying the most we've ever paid, and look what we're watching. They're on about benchmarking with the likes of Villa, and
that's a really good point.
And we're down rock bottom playing. Just watching other it's entertaining, don't get me wrong. It's just entertaining, not for us, for the neutral.
You can benchmark against the big clubs when you're talking about ticket prices, but you don't want to. You want to benchmark against promoted Championship teams when it comes to league position.
Yeah, I mean, it's as if in Jeff's head, we're still pushing for Europe all the time. I think he's actually quoted in saying that we're always close to Europe. Not for a few years now, Jeff. Come on, we've had pushes around January time a few times, but then you don't back the managers to give us that extra push. You just don't. So, the ticket prices are a joke. And look, you don't even sell out. We ain't sold out a home game this year, have we? They always go to general sale now.
Yeah.
So that's all you need to know. And the prices are horrendous. And what we're watching does not warrant the prices they want to charge.
That's actually a good point Chris made that. They've had to knock the price of the shirts already.
And it's 21% off for 21 goals conceded on it.
It's not far off, is it?
I'm sorry, but if in October you can't flog all the shirts you've ordered, that means the fans are not impressed.
No, it doesn't help. There's about 9 different shirts, but
and the fact that it's owned by Fosun, made by Fosun, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm just quite interested to see in the comment section who the comment section would have in replace of Gary O'Neill. I think
a lot of Moyes going on.
I think it'll be Moyes. I was watching a couple of bits from the game the other day, and Moyes was the name that was popping up the most. I'm struggling to see anyone else saying. Well, who else is around?
Potter is another one, but
Potter maybe. Would he take it though? Would he take it though, Harry? Do you think he would look at a job like Wolves and go, "Oh yeah, I want to go back into that melting pot of picking a team up off the floor and get grinding results out." Although I suppose the expectation wouldn't be massively high.
All of those gags around cauldrons and Potter, and you went for melting pot. Shocking.
Potter. I think Potter's would be aiming at no disrespect to us, but I think he'll be aiming higher than Wolves. Potter, and he's known for playing very expansive, lovely football, which Gary O'Neill's trying to do and failing. That's why I'd want David Moyes personally, or Big Sam. Joking, before everyone goes mad. David Moyes would be a perfect fit. I really. What's the
My
matter?
favourite comment so far is the one that Hitler's grandson if it gets us a win.
That's the thing. We give anything for a win.
Well, I mean, when's the next win coming? Because I mean, a lot of people are saying if he's not being sacked now, he's not going to be sacked from losing to City. But I mean,
well, hold on. Let me just ask you two something. I've made my thoughts clear. I think he should be sacked. Do you two, Sam? Do you think O'Neill should be sacked right now?
Yeah, I think he's done. I think this, like I said last week, it's similar to Mick McCarthy losing his job when we lost to Albion, shipping 5 goals, and in the manner it happened. I think if it had been a tighter game or not as diabolical, he probably would have had a little bit of time left. But I think if you're going to make a change, which it looks like we're going to 1 win in 7, make it now. Give him or the new manager as much time as you can with whichever members of the squad aren't away on international duty, and have a mini pre-season in that time. Because if you don't do it now, we're going to wait 2 weeks, get pumped by City, sack him probably then, which would make even less sense. Yeah. And then we're sort of turning around and going, oh my God, this is now the time, that November, that we've all been earmarking as the chance to turn around this start to the season. This first half of the season is purely based on those 4 games in November. And we should have somebody ready to go and some sort of contingency plan. But I don't think that will be the case, because that's not how they operate. They're going to offer him a 4-year deal, and then they got a, like you said, Harry, maybe there's an element of Matt Hobbs being a little bit embarrassed about his decision, his pick, 4-year deal. I mean, I don't know who in this climate is giving anybody a 4-year deal unless you're Man City and it's Pep, because nobody else lasts the time at all.
We were slightly flippant. We were slightly flippant about it in the numbers and stuff, because they will have clauses tied through it that allow either side to snap it after so long. But no one knows what that is. And Fosun might be going, it's too much, we're not going to pay it out. So,
Baylis, are you Gary O'Neill out?
Yeah, fuck. Other than the Albion game, other than the Albion game, I have had absolutely nothing to enjoy.
Come on. Last season, there were some good results. Away at Spurs, away at Chelsea. You went to that one, the 4-2 at Chelsea.
Yeah,
Man City at home last year. You've got short memory. We had some good moments last season at the beginning. It's now
20 it's 20 games since we've literally done
the stinker, isn't it? I mean, 66 points available and taking 6.
Football literally died at the full-time whistle of the Coventry game.
For us,
I know it's not been the same since, has it? And but yeah,
it's his comments as well. His post-match comments. He was literally like, "What if they sack me?" He was talking like a man who was about to be sacked. Mm-hmm. That's what gets me, and the fact that he hasn't is just, I don't know. I think I thought we'd see the flag on Sunday. You know, when they put the flag out on Twitter, the Wolves flag gone. Sorry, but no. I do think it's the Hobbs thing. I think Jeff Shee's giving Hobbs all the power, and because Gary O'Neill and Hobbs get on really well, and he's his man, he's keeping him about.
The only thing that I can take solace in is that there are, I think, just about over the course of the season, 3 teams in that division that we are better than. I would say.
Well, there's 4 teams that haven't won, including us, isn't there?
Yeah.
Ipswich, Southampton. Who's the other one who won? That's a good quiz question, because I can't remember who it is.
The Leicester one.
Palace, is it? I don't think Palace have won.
Yeah, Palace haven't won.
There we go then. So there's the 4 teams. Are we better than those 3? Probably. And we had the hardest fixtures, but we've said 100 times it don't matter, because that was another thing. Getting a new manager in would give us that little positivity bounce for that November run. Whereas if we saw that O'Neill, that's a big thing.
I think it's perfect timing. Yeah.
Because if we get to January and we're like really far away, Jeff Shee's going to shit his pants and change him like he did in the Bruno Lage season.
I agree with Mark here. We are currently the worst team in the league.
Defensively, I agree, but going forward, I don't think we are.
Well, based on the table, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
Score 3 away from home and still get battered.
Yeah, it's not right. I mean, Nori, he's not a left back. He's got to play further forward. I mean, he took his goal well, set up Strand Larsen, but he's just crap at defending. Especially in a 4. We do need to. But then you put in Santi Bueno, Totti, and Dawson. Dawson looked like he'd give up against Brentford. I mean, you can't just rely on him, can you? A bloke in his last year or 2. We ain't got Dawson, it's just we might as well give up. But now he's starting to struggle in a back four. So I don't know what O'Neill's going to do. He ain't going to put Alfie Pond in, is he? I mean, that's just ridiculous. And
this is where we're at, though, isn't it? 7 games into the season, having cried out for a centre back, and we're going, Alfie Pond might do a job.
Oh, that's that statement right there is just because of Fosun, isn't it? It's Fosun's fault that we're even discussing Alfie Pond, like with Fraser last year, isn't it? We got unlucky with injuries, but we didn't bring in a striker in the January.
But it's around this time of year that Bruno Lage went, wasn't it?
A bit later, because it's just for the World Cup, wasn't it? The 2022.
Which is November. So, November, not far off.
Do you know what? People said, which I thought was a great statement, when Bruno Lage put Neves centre-back away at West Ham and then he got sacked, that people said that bringing Hwang Hee-chan on for Andre was Gary O'Neill's Neves centre-back, Bruno Lage moment. Yeah, which I thought was just spot on. So that's what it felt like to me. I'd laugh. I said to my dad, I was watching it, I said, all he needs to do now is bring Hwang on. And about 3 minutes later, he brought in my eye and was laughing my head off. I was like, it's like he's trying to get sacked. When I was watching, I was like, it's like everything he was doing is like he was trying to get sacked. Oh, I can't believe he's still in the job. I can't believe he's still in the job.
No, I'm shocked as well. I genuinely thought, just because of the way that we lost at the weekend, and we talk about Wolves a lot. Obviously, we do it every week. But when you've got the main outlets talking about the Coventry game and the steady decline since then, and the 66 points available, 6 points taken, not one in 20 league games or whatever it is, you start to wonder, actually, it's all of that's cutting through now, which means that other people are noticing, which means it must be more obvious, because we're in the pressure cooker, aren't we? We're in that situation where we're living it all the time, and we know how all of it works. But
I also don't think it had been as bad if the result Saturday had been 2-1 or 3-2.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I agree.
This wouldn't be doom and gloom now. We're going, oh God, we got done away.
I'm just going to get this comment up. Deborah the Zebra, but Brentford could have had 10. And I've got to give a little shout out for Johnston. I know he conceded 5 on the day, but he pulled off some really good saves. And he's been getting a lot of stick, especially after the Liverpool game. So I know everyone's saying get Sarr back in, but I just thought I'd mention that because I put all the blame on the defence and the midfield for our defensive woes against Brentford. So, shout out to Johnson. I know that would probably be a bit controversial in the comments. People will be calling for me neck, but I just thought it could have been 10-3 if it weren't for him on the day. He made some really good saves.
No, I think you're right. Absolutely. I think if Sarr's in there, that's a problem. So, I mean, not that it massively helps, but I think goal difference, this is one of those seasons where goal difference will play a big part, I think, in who goes down.
We're doomed.
So, to be fair, it's not too bad. I mean, I know we have lost 6 and drawn 1, and we are minus 12. But in fairness, Southampton are minus 11. Palace minus 5, so they've got the better of so Ipswich minus 8, Everton minus 8. So, I think...
Do you know what's even more shocking? Is off the back of the Liverpool performance, I never saw that coming. Because we weren't like that woeful defending, were we? Against Liverpool, are a much better team than Brentford. So I just couldn't see it coming. And to be fair, out of the 21 goals conceded, we conceded 11 of them in 2 games. So when you look at it like that, but I was just so shocked. I just couldn't believe what was happening Saturday, and that's got to be down to the manager and obviously the players. But although Lemina come out defending him and saying all the right things, there was definitely players on that pitch that just didn't want to perform, and it looked like he'd lost them. I think I said not last podcast before. I said it was different to the Bruno Lage era because I don't think he's lost the dressing room. But I genuinely think with a lot of the players now, they're just looking at Gary O'Neill like, what are you doing? They're not buying into this system. It's weird. It's the free midfield. It's just the Andre, the Gomez and Lemina. That's got to be changed. You've got to have just 2 of them in there. Whether that means dropping your captain, so be it. Whether that means putting Tommy Doyle in for one of them and drop 2 of them, so be it. We've got Rodrigo Gomez waiting in the wings. I mean, I thought Forbes did well going forward. He's got to change it a lot and drastically because this weird 4-3-3 or 4-3-2-1 hybrid, don't know who's where, play where you want system, ain't working for me. You can be all fancy, putting 8 Nori tucked into midfield thinking he's the next Trent Alexander-Arnold. We're not Liverpool, and that's why we've conceded 21 goals. And again, that's the manager.
No, absolutely right there. IH says we're conceding an average of 3 goals a game, which is great, seeing as we've got City next, so you probably take that. Some news, I guess you call it breaking news. It'd be old if you listen to the podcast. But Como's Marco Curto has been given a 10-match ban by FIFA, with 5 of them suspended for racially abusing Hwang Yi-chan in a pre-season friendly. The incident happened in the second half of the game in Marbella in July, with Hwang's now former teammate Daniel Pedent sent off for a punch in the aftermath. Wolves complained to the Italian Football Association and to UEFA, which said it was powerless to act because it wasn't a UEFA match, but the Korean Football Association got involved with Hwang as South Korea international, of course, and reported the incident to FIFA. So 10-match ban, suspended, 5 of them suspended. I mean, it's good to see the racism being booted out, even though UEFA didn't want to get involved for whatever reason.
Still have to ask, what is a suspension?
He will serve a 5-match ban, and if he's racist or does something again, those 5 will kick in.
He doesn't have to wear a tag or mow the grass.
Doesn't have to wear a tag or mow the grass paint the stadium or anything like that. No, all good. We have only just come into October, but that means November is around the corner, and November rhymes with Movember. I'll pass you on to squadron leader Baylis, who has some news about Movember.
Well, I sort of got called out for having the tash a couple of weeks ago, and I said I'd keep it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get away with it. You're looking like that, are you? It's not inconspicuous.
And I said I'd keep it until we got a win.
Regretting that?
And then, yes. And then I doubled down by saying I'll do it if people donate to the Movember page I've set up, which, fair enough, I've just gone on it. Hit 155 quid already, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
The link is currently in the comments on YouTube. We'll stick it on our social media again as well after the podcast comes out. But I have got to walk around looking like, what did you call me? Doofy from Scary Movie.
Doofy from Scary Movie. I mean, to be honest, by the time we get a win, you probably look like the guy from Lord of the Rings, to be honest. It's going to be down by your knees. I'm
about the same height as Gimli.
First time for everything. Right, okay. Was there anything else to talk about, Harry? I can't remember now.
No, I think that's pretty much it. And that's the comments if you think of anything, but it's just I can't believe he's still in the job.
No, we'll see.
And running, don't we? Yeah,
we'll do an emergency pod when he's inevitably sacked.
Are we going to have a little break next week?
There may be a break next week. I can feel something. I think he's going to be sacked. I really do.
I'll tell you what we didn't mention last week. I know it's a bit past it now, but I thought we should have mentioned we didn't. So sorry to everyone. First of all, I thought it was really good in the Liverpool game that clap happened for Steve Plant on the 63rd minute. Brilliant. So rest in peace to Steve Plant. And also Manny. We haven't mentioned Manny walked around the stadium for 48 hours for Dementia UK, and he's raised an absolute fortune. So fair play to him. And I said in one of the streams I was watching, it was like our players walked around the G-Tech Brentford Stadium for 48 hours before that performance Saturday. So just if they had the spirit of Manny, maybe we wouldn't be in this position. So yeah, shout out to Manny as well. We didn't. So Baylis, can you stop growing beards and can you stop walking around stadiums for 48 hours without sleeping, please?
Yeah, maybe
that's
your
game.
The problem. Yeah. Chris says, any good TV series you guys have watched recently? Started watching Joan on ITV. That's quite good. Only Murders in the Building, obviously.
I watched Chaos on
Brassic.
Oh, that was all right.
What was it called? Chaos,
yeah, with Jeff Goldblum. That was all right. Bit weird.
Right,
Gary O'Neill, the main person. I've been watching the Vince McMahon documentary. Wild.
That is wild, though, isn't it?
Era. Oh,
I wonder how much of a say he's had in that, because
he hasn't. He come out with a statement saying ignore it. I don't agree. Basically, he played
ignore
a
it.
I
did a documentary. I didn't mean to do it.
Well, he played himself, and his character in the WWE when I used to watch it, like sexually harass women, take advantage, like proper Epstein stuff. And basically, he's been found out he did it in real life as well. So obviously, he's saying, no, it's allegedly. Not true. Really good watch, though, especially if you like wrestling back in the 2000s era.
It was massive, though, wasn't it? I mean, he turned it into an absolute...
The Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan. Unbelievable watch. And he was a very seedy man, so, yeah.
Paul says Joan is a good watch. Chris says Shogun, X-Men 97, Tires and Fallout have been class. Mr. McMahon is tremendous, says Mark Rose. So there you go. Right, well, we'll possibly take a break next week. We'll see how it goes. I think there could be a replacement on the way, but when you've got that feeling, I've got one of those feelings. So we'll see what happens. But we'll say goodbye to Harry Mansell.
Yes, cheers everyone for watching.
And Squadron Leader Baylis.
Yeah, goodbye. Thank you for tuning in live.
And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.